Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well on this Super Sunday. Well, it's just Sunday. Nothing super about it as yet, but we've got a full day of music in the cask. It's a big charity music day ahead of us, so it could be super duper. Anyway, folks, hope you're all doing very, very well. A bit of housekeeping. I am aware of a lens flare. Yep, scything that way. You can probably see it. A bit like the Omen. Hope I don't put my neck. Oh, too late. That's me doomed, isn't it? But it's very appropriate. We've got a lens flare because it kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones trying to find the Well of Souls, and he puts the rod, the headpiece in, and the sunlight comes through. Well, there it is. That's the location of the Well of Souls and the Ark of the Covenant. Indy, it's there. It's there, mate, right there. Anyway, folks, that all kind of ties in with what we're talking about today, because I did a video a short while ago on the Omega Man. Charlton Heston, the last man on Earth. Well, apart from another community of people who survived the plague and a whole bunch of albino mutants who are out to get him. So he's not entirely the last man on Earth, last human on Earth. Anyway, I did a video on that, and then I did a video on Hammer's 1959 take on The Mummy. And afterwards, I thought, hang on, Charlton Heston, The Mummy, there's a connection there. If I could just think what it is. Oh, and then it dawned on me, and I had The Awakening. Because that's what it's called. The Awakening from 1980, directed by Mike Newell. Mike Newell, of course, famous for Four Weddings and a Funeral and other rom-com stuff. It's his first actual feature film, directorial debut on the big screen. Done a lot of TV work beforehand. And then he got this. Now, The Awakening is the third take on Bram Stoker's 1903 novel, Jewel of the Seven Stars, which I read sort of way back in the early 80s. I've still got a copy of it somewhere, and I didn't like it at all. It's a jumbled mess, and I know that critically it wasn't liked either. But then again, neither was Dracula when it first came out, his original monolithic Dracula, which of course is the epic masterpiece we all know and love now, but not when it first came out. But this came out and critics were like, it doesn't make any sense, and what the hell is the ending all about? And like, oh, it's basically an Egyptian curse. I think in the book it's the rather nasty Egyptian queen Terror is going to be reincarnated in a modern girl, the daughter of the archaeologist. And because she's a bad queen, naughty queen, and she's going to reenact all their terrors on the modern world, anyone who gets in the way meets an untimely demise. Very sort of Omen style accidents, which are clearly, you know, the strings have been pulled by demonic hands, bandaged hands, you know. And two prior takes were done of this. In 1970, you had Curse of the Mummy, an episode of Mystery and Imagination TV show. I haven't seen it, I just know of it. And then the year after, in 71, you had Hammer again, Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, the statuesque Titanic, Valerie Leon as the Queen, Terror, and also the possessed daughter of the archaeologist, played by Andrew Keir, the great Andrew Keir. And I have reviewed Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, I think during a Halloween marathon where I actually reviewed a lot of different horror movies over a lot of whiskey. And we all love Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. It looks great, it sounds great, Valerie Leon is great. But again, like this source novel, it's a jumbled mess. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, someone, I think Robert H. Solo, Uber producer at the time, around about 1980, 79, 80, thought, it's worth doing this again. Yeah. But with a big star and big production values. So he came up with The Awakening with Charlton Heston. Chuck Heston again, trying to save the world. And he did it as Moses, let's not forget that. And an all-star cast. You had Susanna York was in there as well. And who else? Write this down. Stephanie Zimbalist plays the daughter and the possessed one and all that, who's going to inherit the earth as queen. She's not called Queen Terror in the film, she's called Queen Kira. What you're going to notice about this, I'm talking about this film, but I haven't seen the film for decades. Seriously, I haven't. And it's because I don't like the film. Well, there you go. You can switch off right now, can't you? Well, this is going well, isn't it, Kilty? I just want to talk about it because I found it interesting that Charlton Heston, the Mega Man, and then he's in a Mummy film himself. And at the time, I didn't tie the two together. It's only afterwards, and I thought, that's worth talking about. So ordinarily, when I say I'm not going to review this movie, 2 hours later, I've gone through a video longer than the film in question, and I've gone through it scene by scene, line by line of dialogue, and reenacted various bits for you. That won't be the case this time because I really don't remember a great deal about it, other than the fact that it's not very good. It is not a horror film, so don't go expecting that. It is a swooning, brooding, romantic sort of drama with a lot of great location work in Egypt and sumptuously filmed. It was lensed and lit by the great Jack Cardiff. Jack Cardiff, The Red Shoes, Black Narcissus. He did a lot of Powell and Pressburger movies and a filmmaker in his own right. He did The Dark of the Sun with Rod Taylor. Rod Taylor fighting the machete-wielding Simbas way before the Wild Geese took them on. No, the mercenaries in Dark of the Sun. Dear God, I have reviewed that movie and the Wild Geese as well. So not only was it a great cinematographer, but also a great filmmaker as well, great director. He also lends Rambo First Blood Part 2, which is inarguably the most beautiful looking of all the Rambo movies. That's a sentence I never thought I'd actually say, but it's true. And so the film looks ravishing. It's one of those films where when you read reviews of it, it comes out with that term, handsomely mounted. Handsomely mounted. That's it. That phrase should only be used when discussing Errol Flynn putting a saddle on Olivia de Havilland's back and going for a good old ride. Handsomely mounted. But I know what they mean. Production values are, sky high. And this film came out in 1980. The year after, you got Indy in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I want to show you something because here is a scene on the back. I've got the soundtrack album, which is playing right now. And we'll talk about the score. On the back of this, let's try and get the ring lights involved. Look at that image there. That is Charlton Heston. I think the start of the movie, might even be the opening titles. Might be. What does that remind you of? Yeah, it's Indy. He takes off his Bedouin robes, and they found where the Well of Souls is going to be. And he takes off the Bedouin robes. It's sunset, and he's got his workers are digging there, trying to find the lid to get into the big chamber and all that down below, full of snakes, don't you know? And it's identical to that. It's absolutely identical to that. But this film came out first. So do we actually dare say that Spielberg and Lucas ripped off this rather naff horror but really drama movie from the year before? I don't know. Very similar though, isn't it? And of course it's Egyptology, archaeology, finding old dusty relics and then fate befalling people. Charlton Heston was Moses, don't forget. He had the Ark of the Covenant. The Lynx. Oh my God, the Lynx. The Lynx sounds like Sphinx. Mind blown. Cheers, y'all. Who have we got today? Oh, it's Night of the Demon. I actually have a mug like this from Ashradine, your friend of mine. Ashradine, a traveller in time, sent me a mug with Hammers the Mummy emblazoned all over it. You're way ahead of me now, aren't you? You know I tried to find that mug for this video. Couldn't find it. But I did find this. And having just discussed Night of the Demon as well, that would have come in really handy. Cheers, y'all. The opening is by Maurice Binder, the title sequence. And if I remember rightly, Maurice Binder did a lot of fantastic title sequences to movies, a bit like Saul Bass as well. And it's shimmering, it's real shimmering water, and reflected in the water is Egyptian landscapes, pyramids, hieroglyphics, temples, Cairo, sunshine and all, and it reflected in rippling water. So it's a very enigmatic sort of title sequence for what is a very handsomely mounted production. But you've got Charlton Heston with, if I remember rightly, a stuck-on beard. It's not a real beard he's wearing, and he's wearing that safari suit that he wears partly in the Omega Man as well. He's wearing that. It's more apt, I suppose, for being in the Valley of the Kings and all that, like. And he's having an affair with his archaeologist buddy, his soulmate, but his wife's pregnant. When they find the tomb of Kira, and they break into it, she's pregnant. She's giving birth somewhere else, and the child is stillborn. I'm trying to piece this together. I'm not going to go through it like that, because I don't know it enough to talk all the way through it. The child is stillborn, but when they find the tomb, suddenly, Queen Kira is awoken somehow or other. The child starts breathing, and it's a little daughter, and the child breathes and is alive. So Kira has gone in to the child. Da-da-da-da. And then we flash forward a few years, and I think Charlton Heston has left his missus, who had the daughter, and the daughter's living with the missus somewhere else, and he's now married Susanna York, who was his assistant. So those two are together now. So star power. And I have no idea who played the mother of Kira. I'm not sure what happens to her, to be honest. But it's 18 years later, and it's mostly set, I think, in London, and lovely sort of rooms and chateaus and museums and that sort of thing. Chateaus. Don't get many chateaus in London, do you? But you know what I mean, stately homes and that sort of thing. And but with other bits in Egypt as well. There's a lot of Egypt location work, and it looks astonishing, if I remember rightly. And but what happens is Kira, obviously, I'm not sure what the daughter's name, but played by Stephanie Zimbalist. She clearly has powers, and I think the Omen, because there's people that realise what's happening or can suspect, and or are rivals for archaeological digs, and anyone that intervenes, you guessed it, yeah, an accident befalls them. Yeah. And I do remember the killers. I was in the pub writing notes on this yesterday. If you saw the previous video, you'll know why this video did not get done last night, and a different video did get done about the annoying bloke in the pub, which wasn't me for a change, it was somebody else. But it ruined my train of thought. But I did make some notes on it, which survived. And I wrote down, and there could be more deaths than this, but I don't remember anything more than this. I wrote down Omen-style set-piece deaths. There is a guy, and this might be the first death actually, who gets the. It's all location work in Egypt, and they've got the sarcophagus of Queen Kira, and they're winching it up. And it's a pretty big sort of winch device thing, and it's going up between this chasm, being winched up like that. And this guy, a beret wearing guy, I'm not sure if he's military or what, like, but he's going to put a spanner in the works, and he goes up top, and somehow or other he gets his foot caught in the winch cable, and it drags him to the edge of the air. The sarcophagus gets stuck between the two blocks of stone, hundreds of feet up, like, and he goes over the edge, and then he gets strung up on this thing and bounces from side to side, bang, 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 all the way down, hits more rocks, gets crunched up, tumbles over, lands on the deck, dead. And I remember laughing out loud at that. This is not a film of great suspense, tension, or any kind of fears. It isn't like that at all. I don't think Mike Newell was the guy for the job, or rather, I think Robert H. Solo, who was really the driving force behind this, the big producer, I don't think he wanted a horror film either. I don't think he knew exactly what he was after. He just wanted to get this version of this story on the big screen. When Hammett made a horror film out of it, without a doubt, there are lots of scenes of tension and deaths aplenty. The TV version, I don't know. I can't comment. I've never seen it. But this, so you get that guy. What else did I write down? Oh yeah, there's someone who gets hit by multiple vehicles. I'm not sure who he is. Might be a lawyer or so. I don't know. I think that's it. That might be in London or Cairo. I can't remember now. But he gets toppled over a vehicle, and then a big truck comes up and runs over him as well. Like, a fall through window and glass shard to the throat. Now, the reason why this stuck in my mind is because in one of those great old 70s horror film tomes, which we all have, all as collectors, the Dennis Gifford, Alan Frank stuff, there was one, it might be the Alan Frank one, I think it might be that, and a lot of pictures were in black and white, but there was colour plates in a couple of sections of the book with like loads of images from different movies on the same page. And I think this one had an image of Dave Prowse as the monster from Frankenstein and the monster from Hell, with his like all craggly face, and it might even have had the bottle, the glass, the brandy glass that he shoves into a guy's throat. Might have had that as well. But underneath was a full colour picture of Susanna York lying there on the deck with her face all bloodied and a great big shard of glass sticking in her throat. And then when I finally got to see the film was a mainstay on BBC, I think, during the early 80s. And I didn't see it at the flicks. I taped it off that and was immensely disappointed. And I think that scene was a big disappointment because I think she gets some demonic force, blows her out of a French window, and she goes through another canopy, hits the deck, but doesn't die. And she's surrounded by glass, and she's trying to move, but I think like her back's broken or her legs are broken, and she's in a bad way. She looks up, and there's this big wicked shard of glass. I'm now describing it, I'm thinking a lot of Dario Argento and his set-piece murders from the likes of Deep Red, which has a guy get hit by trucks and multiple vehicles, and his head slammed around. He's getting dragged behind another car, and his head's hitting the curbs, and he's getting all mashed up. Cat of Nine Tails, where a guy hits a fucking train coming into a station, and his teeth get knocked out. Oh God! And of course, you know, Suspiria with set-piece murders and glass featuring prevalently in a double murder at the start of the movie, the most infamous set-piece murder that I think Dario Argento has ever done. And but she's lying there looking up on this glass, this big shard is like wobbling free, and it's way up above her, but she can't move, and it comes down. But the full colour plate in Alan Frank's book, I'm saying it's Alan Frank, could be Gifford, but I think it's Alan Frank. That full image is a close-up, and you don't see it like that in the film at all. The film isn't gory. It's just, it overplays the brutality of the deaths because they are a bit. It's definitely inspired by The Omen and perhaps Dario Argento. So there you go. I've written indie-style booby trap spear. Now I think, and I could be wrong about this, towards the end of the film, I don't even know who it is, but a guy going into Kira's tomb. We're back in Egypt again. I think we're back in Egypt anyway. And I think he breaks like a beam of light, and this spear suddenly comes out from like a hidden recess and goes whoosh, into him, and then disappears back again. And he's like, ugh, ugh. And I think he's carrying one of those lanterns, which I bang on about, those big, paraffin or, oil lanterns where you've got the big handle like that and the big glass, bell jar type thing. I love them. McCready has them in The Thing, and they're in loads of horror movies. They look wonderful. Bruce Campbell, yeah, that's his name, as Ash in Evil Dead has one as well, and I think they're great. Me and Mrs. Kilt-Man, before we had any kids in a previous house, had one. I don't know why we had it, but we had one, and I loved it. But we no longer have it. It'd be a great prop in the background as well to light it. Be brilliant. Bit of cosplay. Anyway. So, and he drops one of these, and it sets fire to the I think the crypt, the tomb. And then I think in the end, although spoilers, folks, and I could be wrong about this, I'm pretty certain that Charlton Heston gets killed. like all the parents and guardians of Damien, they're all going to die as well, because nothing can stand in Damien's way. Well, nothing can stand in Queen Kira's way. Kira/Terror. And I think a lot of polystyrene, rocks, pyramidal blocks come tumbling on him, and he gets crushed beneath all them. And at the very end of the movie, she becomes the full. Oh, hang on. She's the daughter, but I think she totally becomes the queen, and all the Egyptian makeup and all that, and the hair is done like Cleopatra, and she strides out and over. I think she can oversee all of Cairo or whatever, some city anyway. And it's like now she's powers and she's going to take over the world. And then the film ends. And I know a lot of complaints about the movie was like, well, I think some other characters, you haven't seen what happened to them. So you're like, well, what happened to it? I think she's got a boyfriend as well. I think she's got a boyfriend somewhere along the lines, and you don't know what happens to him. But audiences were like, what? Just perplexed and befuddled and bewildered. And like, discombobulated. They're like, what's next? And is that it? And I think on its premiere, it actually was greeted with hoots of derision. And there you go. Cheers, y'all. Hoots of derision. Hang on, I've missed another one out. There's another death. Ian McDiarmid is in this movie as well. And I think he plays a shrink. A psychiatrist. And he is going to give an injection, a massive big hypo to Stephanie Zimbalist, the daughter. And I'm not sure kind of what happens, but she outwits him and he falls on it. Great big fucking hypo, and it goes into his chest. He's on a desk and she's hitting him. She's hitting him from behind, like smashing him so that it goes deeper and deeper, and then it kills him. And then he turns to the dark side, obviously. I think that's the roster of deaths. They're not brilliant, but they're all brutal. Bouncing off rocks and a big massive chasm fall, pretty nasty, and being hit by multiple vehicles and driven over. A fall through a plate glass window, and then your back broken, and then a glass shard going in your throat. Big spear. And this, but I think there's a straining for effect. But we're trying to not top but equal the Omen style deaths, but we can't be as nasty because we're not trying to be a nasty film. I don't think there's any sort of any sex in it. I don't think so. I don't remember. Stephanie Zimbalist is certainly very nice, and Susanna York was lovely back in the day. I remember my dad, Big Kilpap, had a thing for Susanna York, and then she went topless in a TV show. I'm not sure what it was, but I remember my dad was thoroughly not enraptured. He was disgusted because he thought she was above all that sort of thing. I don't know what that show was, but I remember he was like, turn this off. That's it now. Me and Susanna, we're through. She's going to flaunt her bits. She's not for me. Twisted morals. And but yeah, The Awakening. It's Chuck Heston, and I remember it. Starburst covered it, and other magazines covered it back in the day. There was no internet back then, of course, and a few other books just came out in the 80s listing, horror movies and stuff. Really panned this movie, but they all seem to agree that Heston had a really naff English accent. I don't remember him even trying to put one on, if I'm honest with you. I don't remember. But Heston had a lot of nice things to say about this. He enjoyed working with Mike Newell. He enjoyed the whole process. He liked working with Susanna York. He liked the location work. He liked the story. He liked the score, which I'm going to talk about a bit more. Let's keep on saying. And he went to see all the daily rushes, which most film stars don't bother doing. But Mike Newell was like, no, he did. He was determined to make sure that everything was looking good, and he was genuinely interested, and a lovely gentleman. I had a discussion about Charlton Heston the other night after I'd done that the Omega Man video. My mate Pete, he said he'd watched the video and he said, I love all that, Planet of the Apes and the Apes. He doesn't speak like Sean Connery at all. I love all the Charlton Heston sci-fi movies, Soylent Green and all that, and he said, he's a loner, Charlton Heston. And I went, yeah, that's exactly the point I think I was trying to make. I said, whoever he plays, he turns his back on civilization. Taylor in Planet of the Apes, why is he an astronaut? He says along the lines of because somewhere out there's got to be something better than mankind. There's got to be something better. Of course, you find into Planet of Apes, which actually is the world of mankind, but mankind let it fall to rack and ruin, and the apes took over. Oh, you maniacs! You blew it up! You blew it up! Soylent Green, again, he's a private detective but he's breaking all the rules, and he's only got one friend in life, and euthanasia is the is the popular thing, it's the trend, and then of course they get turned into Soylent Green is people. The big, how many endings am I going to ruin for you all? And Last Man on Earth, the Mega Man, he's the last man on Earth, you know. And even in any movie he never plays a warm-hearted, compassionate sort of guy. And even if he does, El Cid or whatever, like, or The Naked Jungle, fighting the ants and all that, which are taking over his plantation, an army of killer ants. Great movie. I threatened to review that a few times. And it's great. I love that movie. It's a big adventure movie as well. Whatever character he plays, he's set apart from everybody else. He might have the respect of his troops, his armies, his wives, his lovers, his whatever, his servants, his slaves, but he's aloof. And when he cracks a smile, there's a kind of, the phrase crack a smile is really, really perfect for when he smiles, because that granite jaw of his, when it cracks open to reveal the pearly whites, you can tell it's taken some effort to do that. You know, you can hear that. It's like Talos, you know, and his big bronze bones coming back to life, stiff and, you know, not really used to it. And even as Moses, he just wanted to be alone, for God's sake. But he's got millions of Israelites behind him, and yet fucking leave me alone. I parted the Red Sea for you. What more do you want? Just leave me be. I want to be alone. That's what we were saying, be in peace. He's always a loner in films. And in this one, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's a loner in this as well, but I don't remember. I really don't remember. Me and Pete also talked about Alejandro Jodorowsky's take on Dune, which would have been spectacular. I mean, we talked more about that than we did about Charlton Heston, to be honest, but that was never to be. One of those films which was doomed right from the outset. They needed fucking, X amount of billions of dollars. All Geiger was involved, Ron Cobb was involved, all the best designers and artists were involved, and Jodorowsky had done Holy Mountain and El Topo. So it was going to be a very visionary and hallucinatory sort of trip. And Dune, of course, is made for that sort of thing. Even David Lynch's version is fucking wacky and way out there. Denis Villeneuve's version, I don't love it like a lot of people do. Even my son's a massive devotee of the Villeneuve version, and we've got the third one coming out after me, or they're about to do the third one, something like that anyway. But I'm really not interested. Sorry, but I'm just not. But Jodorowsky's version would have been, there'd have been multiple versions of it, I'm sure. A lot would be cut out of it. I mean, if you started making it in the mid-70s, you'd still be making it now, to be perfectly honest. Speaking of different versions, The Awakening is in 2 different versions. I think the American distributors removed 5 minutes of footage from it, from here, there, and everywhere, to try to just tighten it up and provide it a bit more suspense. They may even have sort of relocated certain scenes. I could be wrong about that. I really don't know. I mean, the version I've seen, I think, was the UK 105-minute version. So I think I've seen the full version. But Mike Newell certainly wasn't happy about what happened. I think Orion Pictures distributed this one, and they brought in another editor. The editor on this, but it was Terry Rawlins, who worked with a lot of Ridley Scott movies, Blade Runner, Alien, Legend, and many other movies, and a great editor. So again, handsomely mounted, handsomely presented. That's this kind of movie. There's no rawness to it at all. And as I say, it was an X certificate when it came out in the UK. Well, okay, some of the murders are a bit brutal, but it does not warrant being an X certificate or an 18. I don't think it is now. I'm not sure about its availability on home video. I'm pretty certain there'll be a Blu-ray of it somewhere. I'm pretty certain. But anyway, in fact, if you want to watch the film in good quality, believe it or not, I checked just before, it's on YouTube for free. Yeah, I might put the link to it, and I think it's the full version. I haven't looked, but I watched it a bit. I flicked into it, saying ta-ra to certain folks. They're going off on an expedition, don't you know? Don't forget the sarcophagus. and the Tanner leaves, and the scroll of life. That's more for me than for anything else. Where was I going with that? Yeah, I looked in to see if any ads were cropping up on it. But the quality of the image looked really good. So I'll put the link below, should you want to watch it. Maybe some of you are going like, well, Kilty, you've done the film down. Maybe you should rewatch it, revisit it, and maybe you'll reevaluate it and end up a much better review. No, I can't be bothered. I genuinely can't be bothered. I can be bothered talking about it right now for the sake of it. But it's just to kind of put the seal on the deal. Charlton Heston, a Mega Man, hammers the mummy, and there's a connection there. Chuck Heston made a mummy movie. I don't think you see any actual mummies in this. But it's not. You don't have a lumbering brute swathed in bandages and putting the throttle hand on victims who desecrated his grave, his tomb. It isn't that kind of movie. It's a curse and it's a prophecy, and your mummy is a bit like the original 1932 Karl Freund mummy, where Boris Karloff is Imhotep, but you only see him as a mummy. He's here somewhere. There he is. He's there, and he's in his sarcophagus right here behind me. You only see him briefly like that at the start of the film, and then he afterwards he's on Ardeth Bay, the fez wearing, but his face is all leathery and withered, and he finds Zita Johann to be the reincarnation of his princess. Was it Princess Ananka in that? I can't. I think it probably was. So there are deaths in it, but it's a very stately, sedate, quiet, moody piece. I think it's fabulous. I love the original Mummy. I love it to bits, but it's not what you think. It's not a lumbering brute, putting the throttle hand on people, as I just said. And nor is Blood from Mummies 2, The Awakening. It's not like that. It's a curse passed on, a reincarnation, and then just deaths happen around this sort of thing. Cheers, y'all. So, French composer Claude Bolling. Always laugh when I say that, Claude Bolling. Living with a cat right now, I often walk around with Claude Bollocks. But Claude Bolling, he was like the French Henry Mancini, sort of jazzy, upbeat, and I know like Mancini did a lot of other stuff as well, but that's not what he's, predominantly known for. So it was his first time doing a film of the fantastique. I love that. The French term for like fantasy movies is, cinema fantastique. And it gives it a really exotic sort of, baroque and otherworldly quality. Fantastique. His first time doing a film like this. And you can tell, because it's a lovely score, do not get me wrong. I'll turn up a little bit. It's very swooning, sensual, full orchestra. There's not many scenes of suspense or, piercing strings of people getting slashed up and beaten and all that. None of that happens in the score. But I've had the score for a long time. I think Quartet Records put it out, and it's sinuous. It's a delight. A lot of us are score collectors, as I know. I have thousands and thousands of them, and I think you collect and you play scores for different reasons. In some cases, you play it because it reminds you of the film, and you listen to the music and you're playing the film in your mind, scene by scene, track by track. Yeah, I get that. I do that a lot. But a lot of scores, the film might not be that good, but the score's memorable. And I'll play the score and have my own film version, a better version playing in my mind. Or I'm just listening to the music. The music's creating an entirely different theme and story altogether. And this, the way I don't play it often, but when I do play it, I don't play it to think of this movie. I play it just to have this sort of background, this lovely, lilting, long note melodic, melody, a melodic melody. There's a novelty for you, playing in the background, and it's calming, it's relaxing. It doesn't immediately shriek horror movie to you, does it? Reincarnation with a 3,000-year-old Egyptian fucking queen of death and blood. It doesn't shriek that, does it, at all? You watch it to start shrieking now. But someone else is in this movie is Miriam Margulies, or Margulies, however you pronounce it, who, if you're in the UK, you've seen her a lot. She's a darling of TV shows and chat shows, and she's written numerous books, made a lot of movies, been on stage, done lots of documentaries, travelling around the Middle East, travelling around Australia, travelling around New Zealand. I think I used to love her. I used to think she was hysterically funny, because she would, when she'd be on a TV show, a daytime TV show, they'd always issue a warning, and we've got the great Miriam Margulies, so Miriam, please watch your P's and Q's, please don't say this, don't say that, and don't fart, because she'd swear and she'd fart, and she was hysterically funny. And Mr. Kilt-Man bought me, I think, her latest book a couple of years ago. She's probably written a few more since, but this book, autobiography, she's done a few of these things, and it's meant to be hysterically funny. But at the same time as that, when she was publicising this book, going on TV shows to promote it, she started coming up with a lot of inflammatory comments about other actors and film stars and how much she hated them, and she's really dishing dirt on them. And I found her suddenly in a different light. I just thought, oh, they've not got the opportunity to reply, give a response, and you're saying all this, and it could be slanderous. And I got very uncomfortable with it, so I didn't read the book, and a lot of that stuff was actually in the book that Mrs. Kilt-Man had bought me. So I've kind of gone off her now, quite a bit, to be honest. And I think she's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the last couple of years. But anyway, she's in this playing an archaeologist, an Egyptologist, and so that's the awakening for you. I've done almost 40 minutes on a film that I really can't remember too well. Not done too badly. Gone through all. I bet there's more deaths. I bet there's a really nasty one which I've completely forgotten about. And I wonder if this was the film where Susanna York got her boobies out. I wonder. No. Okay, no, it wasn't this. It's not like that in this movie. But anyway, if you're in the mood to watch Chuck Heston with a fake beard and a fake English accent, playing around with some fake Egyptian bones and sarcophagus and tombs and relics, then The Awakening is for you. There's another film called The Awakening. Oh, is it Awakenings? Is that De Niro and Robin Williams about coming out of a coma? Is it that? I don't know. I could be wrong. Not my kind of film either, to be honest. But I'll put the link below to this. You've heard this score, and a little bit of Egyptian twanging there, like snake charming. What else was in my notes? Nope, I think that was it. But I thought I'm gonna have to cover this because you can't not. You've just talked about Charlton Heston as the Omega Man, and then you talked about the Mummy, and then I was like, no. There's some kind of parchment bandage which is linking these two things together. Yeah, what could it be? Yeah, Chuck made a mummy movie, a Chucky mummy. So there you go, folks. I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man. So please, in the meantime, and this ever, just unwrap and be yourself in between time. Please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. I'm going to see you all. Oh, and if you're wondering, this t-shirt, Marvellous Universal Montage of Monstery, came from our good friend across the pond, the Alabama Slammer himself, H Rock, Halloween Rock. And H, this does actually light up in the dark. You know, these glow in the dark t-shirts, they're great, but don't build your hopes up. They don't glow like kryptonite. No. Or like the serum in Reanimator. That's me with a hypodermic pushing the serum. Parts. Never done parts before. West. You bastard. Genius, just fucking genius. But they do give it sort of a faint sort of eerie, slightly green sort of incandescence, which is kind of creepy, but the whole lot will not be ignited in green. You just get little highlights here, there, and it does kind of give a good effect. There's Wolfman, there's Gilman, there's Frankie's monster, Bella, Dracula, the mummy's there, Elsa Lanchester as the bride, Frankenstein. So, folks, The Awakening. I wouldn't bother. Go back to sleep. Don't bother awakening at all. It ain't worth it. See you all